Good. Well, it's 11 o'clock, and I think we shall start the Introducing Vision Buddy TV webinar on Quantum Reading Learning Vision. So thank you very much for attending today. This session is being recorded. We hope it'll be a useful resource, not just today, but for people beyond today. I'm joined here by my colleague, Michael Palmer. And I'm Peter Cracknell. I'm the Vision Technology Specialist for Quantum Reading Learning Vision, and Michael is a Low Vision Technology Specialist based in the Gold Coast. Most of this presentation will be with Michael speaking and demonstrating the features of the Vision Buddy TV. I will be starting looking at some of the current options for viewing TV. So I'm going to just start by just acknowledging the traditional owners of the Yagara lands from which this webinar is being presented, and pay our respects to elders past and present. Just some housekeeping. The microphone will be muted during the webinar. There will be time for questions at the end. And if you have any questions, put them in the Q&A area. Now that can be done using the tab key or the chat, or you can use Alt+H, or if you're on a Macintosh, Command+H to get to the chat session. If you've got any technical difficulties, please also use the chat and we'll attend to those. As I mentioned, we are recording the webinar and we'll make it available for people who've registered today, and live captions are available as well. So the format today will be, I will do the introduction to the basics of television watching and some of the issues around that for people with low vision. And then I'll hand to Michael, but we will have a sort of a co-hosted introduction to the Vision Buddy TV system. So you'll see both of us speaking, though Michael will be the pinned person. So I'm starting with my first slide. On the slide here, we have a picture of a family looking at a rather old television set. And the slide title is "Sitting Closer to the TV is Good for You." Of course, we're all told, and we've all been told, don't sit so close to the TV. It'll make your eyes go square. You'll get radiation, and so on. And that's typically what we see when we go to people's homes with our equipment, and we're trying equipment out with people, is that the TV is a good 3, 4 or more meters away from the comfortable armchair that people are sitting in. And a lot of that comes down to, well, that's the way that it's always been. People have always had those messages about sitting too close to the TV. But with modern televisions, they don't actually emit radiation in the way that the old TVs did, especially with the flat screen TVs. They may emit a little bit of heat and possibly a little bit of static, depending on the weather and so on. But actually, the sitting close to the television is not actually as harmful as you would think. And for people with low vision, it certainly can be one of the easiest and simplest ways of achieving some magnification of the image that's on the screen. So we do encourage people as a first step, if they have low vision, to sit close to the TV. They may need to put a small chair, a light chair, close to the TV. They might be slightly to one side, but you can get an enormous benefit just by doing that, by getting the largest TV you can and sitting as close as you can comfortably. In this photograph here, it's quite interesting to notice that apart from the radiation poisoning they're getting from the television, I think both the adults are smoking as well. So that's another risk factor we encourage people not to do. And I imagine there's a lot of passive smoking going on for the two children in the scene as well. So here's a little bit of theory here about why sitting close to the TV is actually beneficial. So It's just a little rough diagram just showing a television on the left-hand side of the screen and a viewer about 4 meters away, well, actually probably more than 4 meters, but just an illustration. And if we imagine that the television has a very close-up of somebody on a bicycle, perhaps it's Tour de France or something like that. If our eye was on the television, it would form an image which took up most of the back of our eye. If we sit further away, the height of that image that's formed on the back of the eye is going to reduce as we get further away. So, and I've drawn this on a sketch here, I've got 4 positions, one at 3 meters, one at 2 meters, one at 1 meter. And it's just to illustrate that if you halve the distance to the TV, in other words, you get up to the 2 meter mark, you're going to double the apparent magnification of the image. And what we're trying to achieve is magnification here. We're trying to make things bigger so that they're more perceptible. Now we know this is true of reading. So if you're looking at something with small print, if you magnify it, it becomes easier to read. This is true for everybody. It doesn't matter whether you have low vision or perfect vision. Small print, you will need some form of magnification to perceive it clearly. So this is why the first thing that we encourage people to do is to sit closer to the TV. Now, there may be other reasons why that could be a problem. Perhaps if you're sitting in front of the TV, your husband can't watch the cricket, or you're blocking the score, that sort of thing. So this is why sometimes what people will do there is they'll have a chair slightly to one side so they're not blocking the view. I've also just mentioned here that people often have eccentric vision when they're looking at objects. And what I mean by eccentric vision is that they have a chink in their vision, which is a little bit better in just one portion, top left to the right, below. It varies from person to person. And they will often turn their head or turn their eye to just aim that chink at the thing they're looking at. So we'll often see people who have a chair just to the right or the left of the TV so that they can turn the best part of their vision towards the TV. So what about magnifying without sitting close to the TV? One thing we can do is we can use a pair of binocular spectacles. These are called the Max TV glasses. They are spectacles which have got an objective lens and a subjective lens at the front, closest to the eye. And these can be adjusted in and out to form about a 2 times magnification. So that means that if you think about what I was saying about magnification before and distance, it means that if you needed to sit 2 meters, you could sit further away if you wore the Max TV glasses. And that might suit your living room. Maybe, you're just not going to be able to shift the furniture around. I remember once I was visiting a customer and her furniture was just completely inappropriate for TV watching. Everything was wrong. And I suggested, look, all we need to do is move this chair just this bit to the left and forward a bit. And she was very happy with that. And I just shoved it in that direction. And that was a good result. I came back a few weeks later on another matter, and the furniture is all back where it was before. Of course, people get so habituated to their furniture and the way they've always done things for many years. Sometimes it's quite an effort to change the way we're looking at television. I've got a picture up on the slide here also of a very posh lady at the opera using opera glasses. She's also got heaps and heaps of pearls around her neck. Opera glasses will give more magnification than the Max TV. The Max TV glasses will give about 2 times magnification. Opera glasses about 3, 4 and above. And of course, one could also use just regular field glasses, binoculars and so on. But of course, the issue with holding things in your hand like that is it's heavy. And of course, the main issue you'll find is what I'm going to talk about next, is about how the field of view contracts. So we do have some electronic headset magnifiers similar to the Vision Buddy, which have a camera in the front and which can zoom in on the television set and magnify it in the actual headset. Now, this is actually using a camera and it's directly magnifying everything in front. So in the image here, I have a lady looking at a large television set at a distance of about 3 meters. And then in the left frame, I've got a picture of a lady playing guitar and reading sheet music. So why wouldn't we do this to watch TV? Well, the reason is because of the field of view. When we magnify something straight, either with a pair of binoculars or with an electronic headset, the effect is that we can zoom in on one particular portion of the screen, but everything else moves out of the field of view. On the slide I have up at the moment, we have a two-person shot, a man at a cafe with a woman, and you can see both of their expressions at once because they're all in the field of view. But if the man's head was too small because of your low vision to see his features, and you zoomed in with a pair of binoculars or with a headset, you would lose the lady on the right. You'd see the man clearly, but she would disappear. And the problem with this is that, especially in a drama thing on TV or with sport, you'll be constantly having to move from one person's magnified view to the other person, but you would never see both simultaneously. Or even in your peripheral vision, they would not be there. They'd be out of view. And this can really affect the enjoyment of drama programs and sport, where just by magnification, you're missing so much of the rest of the picture. So what's happened over the recent years is there's been some virtual reality headsets that have been invented. And here's an early model being modeled by Angela Merkel, the German Chancellor, and Obama, I was going to say Prince Obama, but President Obama. So this tells you that it's a few years since these first virtual reality headsets were invented. And now, of course, we see them everywhere advertised for gaming and other engineering applications and so on. So they look a lot more modern. And with the Vision Buddy TV, they're really arriving at something very useful using some of the concepts of virtual reality. And what we'll do now is I'm going to hand over to Michael Palmer, and he's going to demonstrate and explain why it's different and what it seeks to achieve, what it doesn't do, what it does do. So I'm going to stop sharing. And Michael, you're there. I'm going to pin you so that you'll be the main view.
All right. Thanks, Peter. All right. So we're at Quantum here. We're quite excited about receiving this little thing. The Vision Buddy has been something that has been needed to come along for a very long time. As Peter suggested, there's been some other virtual headsets that didn't quite hit the mark. The unfortunate thing when we do zoom in on a television and things like that, we get a lot of pixelation and problems associated with that. So we really did need a solution that brought it straight to our head and not through a magnification system of lenses and things like that. So that's where this little baby came in, the Vision Buddy. So the Vision Buddy is, being a virtual headset, it's a device that has a set of lenses, and we can see a screen on the inside of the device. On the outside of the device, it's actually got a forward-facing camera for use for magnification around our table and things like that. It's a device that has a battery behind our head to balance out the device, buttons and things which I'll go through in a bit underneath. So it's quite a nice, comfortable headset. Virtual reality headsets are used these days because virtual reality headsets have sensors inside of them that enable us to tell the device, and it senses our head movement. And this is the point of difference that all the others don't have. It's sending a clear image straight to it, but we have the ability to look around, and this is something new. This is unique to the Vision Buddy, so it's an amazing piece of technology. So I'll go through that a little bit more, but I just wanted to also talk about, show you some of the things that it comes with, and then we'll go into a bit more detail with it. Of course, the Vision Buddy comes in its own nice little handbag that you can carry around with you. The way the Vision Buddy works simply is that its primary role is to receive video imaging, and video imaging can be from any HDMI source, and it's done to it either wirelessly or through a HDMI cable. Wirelessly, it's sent through a Vision Buddy hub box. And it's like having your own little TV station at home, in that this sends directly to your goggles with no wires at all. And simply the way that it works, might be able to make out there's HDMI in, and there's other plugs as well there, but the main one is the HDMI in. It also does have a HDMI out. Now, the beauty of this is that using this HDMI in, we can connect our Roku boxes, our set-top boxes for TV, any HDMI source, but we may not want to be plugging it in and out and swapping and changing. You know, if we're sharing that appliance with others in the household, we don't want to have to unplug it from here and plug it back into the TV and things like that. So with this device, it can actually be plugged into the TV as well as the box as well. So amazing piece of kit. I don't know what the conversion is. 40 feet is approximately how far it can go. So it's like you have Wi-Fi at home. So it goes a good distance, and I've tested. I've had it running in my lounge room. You can go into the bedroom and you can still watch your videos. So amazing piece of kit. So it does come with that. Of course, it does come with the cable to enable you to connect directly to your HDMI device. Now, that also means that this can connect to your computer screen. So it's possible to use your Vision Buddy and your computer. So instead of zooming in on the screen from sitting back the way we are now, it's a direct input. And the direct input means that as I do zoom in on the images, I'm getting a very clear, crisp image because it's a direct feed. It's a direct high definition feed. So very clear, very crisp. So that's part of it. With our packaging, we're also including something that is a little bit unique to us, the Fire Stick. Now, what the Fire Stick is a multimedia source. So it's through Amazon, so it can have apps included in it. You can watch your Netflix, you can watch your Channel 9, your Channel 7 through the internet through this, and that comes with this. So of course that needs a little bit of extra setup through Amazon to do it, but brilliant, nice and crisp, works really, really good. If we don't have internet at home, you're going to need to have a connection to your normal Channel 9s, your normal Channel 7s and things like that. If I'm in a home, I may not have access to internet. So these sorts of little things are available too, these digital set-top boxes where a normal aerial can be plugged into it. It has a HDMI out, and that goes to our Vision Buddy box. And that just works like normal TV then. So you can see that in a small little unit or a little room in an age village, you don't have to have the space to have a massive TV. You don't need a TV really at all. You could just run it all through this system, and that changes it. The Vision Buddy is very unique in that the way that we view images through it, unlike everything else, because of this head movement that we do, it's possible for me to look at a very large screen and I can turn my head and see the sides of the screen. It's almost like sitting in a cinema, sitting up close to a massive big screen, and it projects onto the screen, and I can see the edges of the screen just by turning my head. That's the big difference between what the Vision Buddy does and anything else that's out there at the moment. So let's have a little look at the headset and go through it. So as we discussed before, there's the camera on the front. The device itself has 3 modes on it, which is accessible through the mode button on the side. And so it has access to the TV, it has access to a magnifier utilizing the front, and it also has access to a reading mode. Now, the reading mode has the ability to have the contrast changing, the changing of colors to enable it to make it easier for reading, which is particularly good for those with MD and things like that. It makes a big difference. So we have the mode on the side. Above it and below it is our zoom in and zoom out. So it has up to 10 times magnification. Simple press of the button to enable it to do that. Across the bottom of the device, we've got some quite tactile buttons. That's our power on and off. And there's quite a big lump there, so I can feel that. We've got our volume buttons, and we've also got a little headphone jack. Now this is quite a handy thing to use. You know, I'm sitting in the lounge room watching my favourite movie, and if everyone else is sitting around, I can actually plug it into my ears and listen to it quite clearly through that. And then of course it's got the USB-C type jack. The C is the one that can go, the orientation works either way. And using that, I can charge it or I can connect it to my computer. So it's quite a simple process to do that. I can also connect it, whether it's to my computer, I can connect it to my Xbox or my PlayStation or whatever I like to do. So quite a nice, simple design. We find that to use it and to activate it, it's because of its simplicity, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know how to use the thing. It works quite well. The comfort factor of it, they especially have designed it and they've put the battery, the heaviest bit at the back. So from a balance perspective, we're not front heavy. It does mean that the device is very, very comfortable. The padding on it is extremely soft with adjustable sides on it, so that it's very comfortable. And yes, you can wear your glasses in it. They do actually fit in there, and it's quite comfortable. I've watched a movie or two on mine to have a go at it, to test it out, and even after a couple of hours, I didn't find it particularly hot or uncomfortable. It was very comfortable to wear. Brilliant piece of kit. The Vision Buddy box, as we saw there, Vision Buddy box, the main buttons or the main plugs that we really would be concerned about or wanting to know about is HDMI in and HDMI out. And as I said before, the source, of course, is the HDMI in. Whatever you want to send to the goggles, you send it via that plug. If we're going to do it wirelessly. And like I mentioned before, if I've got a set-top box or something that I want to send it to a TV and the Vision Buddy box without having to swap and plug around, I can run it through the HDMI out. It's a metal box, it's a good solid box, and with the dual aerials, the reception is extremely good to the headset itself. So it's quite good. The Fire Stick that we showed you before, the little Fire Stick, the way that works is simply that we can actually plug it into it and we put power to it. And that connects to the internet and we can watch our Netflix and things like that. So nice, simple technique. It does, of course, come with a a remote control to control the Fire Stick.
Michael, can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
Just wanted to ask a question. So I'm just imagining you're in, say, like a nursing home or something like that, and the person is struggling to see the television set. Would this replace their remote control once you've set it up?
Yes, well, the remote control is used on the television, and what the Vision Buddy does is that it's transmitting to the goggles images from a video source, and so that's any HDMI out. Now, a television doesn't transmit, it only receives. It doesn't have the ability to transmit anything. So that's where the remote control, if the current remote control controlled a set-top box that was going to the TV, that would remain the same because it would send it to here instead of the television. Or they would utilize whatever set-top box they had, you know, like whether it's going to be the digital set-top box that you connect to the aerial in like a traditional TV, and you would use the remote control to connect to this, and then that would send it through to the goggles.
So if the person was already used to their own remote control from their set-top box or whatever, you're not changing anything. You're going in and just introducing something in between that transmits to the Vision Buddy goggles.
That's correct. That's correct. And even to the point where it's the device itself, when you can send it via the Vision Buddy, or you can send it directly via a cable. But we find that using cables and things, we want to try and minimize that. We don't want to be tripping over and things like that. So using the Vision Buddy box, it does mean I can sit in my favorite chair, or I can go to bed and sit in bed. The device has parts built into it where, because it does know how my head is situated, when I turn it on, it knows that that's forward. But if I lie down, it still thinks that that's forward, and I press a button and it realigns it, that my head, even though I'm pointing towards the roof, that is now forward. So it's quite a natural thing to be able to use it. Even the elderly, they get it straight away. They understand how it works. They understand that I can just zoom in. I can't see that. What is it? I just press a button and I can see it. And if I want to see over that way, I can turn my head and look that way as well. The beauty of this is that I can actually then also plug in the device to an external camera. Now, the thing with that is that if I'm plugging it into some sort of external camera, and whether it's a camera that is a camera, or even using like I've got a Clover 6 video magnifying device with HDMI out. So I can plug this into it and use the magnifier to send directly to my goggles. So it's a brilliant concept. I might even show you, to give you an idea what that's like. I've got the big TV behind me, and it does mean that, as you know, that when we're looking through something like this, the small Clover 6, which is a great portable device, if I really want to see something big or see more on the page at once, we want a bigger screen, and that's what the Vision Buddy can simulate for me. So you might...
So Michael, while you're plugging that in, I'll just explain that this is not exactly what you would see in the Vision Buddy, but it'll give you an idea of how, by having a bigger field of view and bigger magnification than we could achieve on the Clover 6 or any other small handheld camera, we can have that effect right in the Vision Buddy goggles. A little later, I'll show a little bit of video of what it might look a little bit like. One of the problems we have is actually demonstrating what this looks like, because we can't really simulate what the human eye would see within the goggles. So that's just an approximation.
I played with the idea of putting my mobile phone up behind it, but it really didn't do justice to how brilliant and how crisp it is. It's amazing to see. So if we were to zoom in on the text, and you can probably see some of the words there. And as I turn my head, this is the effect that would happen. I could look around and have a better understanding of the areas that I'm looking through. So it's, from that perspective, it's particularly quite good. And we often find that a lot of people that have or that need something like this, they've often got something like the Clover 6, which the Clover 6 is a very sharp, has a very sharp image and very good lens. So it's ideal to pair it with something like this.
Do you mind, Michael, just demonstrating it, the Clover 6 up close, not connected to the TV?
Sure.
A lot of people use things like the Clover 6 in an armchair to read the TV guide, that sort of thing. So this would give an option where they would have something like that just on the occasional table next to their armchair. They could read the TV guide in their goggles. I think what Michael's going to show is what it looks like without connection, just on its own screen.
Commonly, what I've found I've given this device to a couple of people to try, and the experience is all very much the same. The first thing is, wow, it's good that we're getting such a large image, and even for those, we get often asked, who would this be good for? My answer is everyone. My son at home loves it because he can plays Xbox through it, and he said, if I want to see something bigger, it's like sitting in a cinema. I can move that next seat forward to get closer to the screen. And the experience is very, very cinematic. And quite a natural feel. Being able to just turn my head and look around is brilliant from that perspective. The magnification aspect of the device, as we talked about before, pressing those buttons on the side to change the modes into one of the three modes. The magnification utilising the camera on the front produces a nice image as well, enabling me, if I'm holding a piece of text, I can scan around the text to be able to do it. And the experience is that my head would move around the page versus the TV experience where the TV stays still and I can look around it in this manner. So I find from a perspective of explaining magnification and explaining how it all works, it's just natural that everyone gets it. They understand the concept. It works quite well. So the Clover 6 is just starting up there. So as far as the accessories they give you the cabling that you need. Something that I haven't chatted about that I actually didn't bring with me today is that the headset, typically using the battery that's in it, will go for about 2.5 hours roughly. It does come with an external battery pack. Actually, Peter's holding it up there.
Yeah.
So that we charge it up, and then you can plug it in so you can watch your movies and things like that. All day if you want. I think you get about 6 hours with that as well. So it's quite a handy thing to have. They really have thought of all the options that we need. So Clover, you might be able to make that out, but it's quite a small area that I get to see.
And what we're seeing on that little 6-inch screen there is stretched out over the whole of that IMAX view within the goggles. So
that's right. That's exactly right. It really does simulate a large TV, and without having to get yourself up really close to it. If I bring that back there, what you're seeing through it, you can't read it. So having a television of the same size text across the other side of the room is just not practical. You couldn't do it. So from that perspective, it's ideal. Some of the specs on it, it's a high definition screen. The display itself is a 4K inside of it. So when it is plugged in to your computers and your gaming devices and things like that. Super crisp, clean image. When it transmits in high definition, traditional high definition. Does have Bluetooth and things like that. So it's quite a nice device, really, and we're quite excited about it here.
Michael, would this be a good point where I could play a little bit of the simulation of what it looks like inside the?
Perfect. Yeah.
As I was saying, it can't really convey exactly what you would experience, but it'll give you an idea of the turning your head to the left and the right, the zooming in, and so on. So I'm just going to share my screen and just play a little bit of that video.
Something I should mention too, that the Vision Buddy in reading mode also has the ability to do some OCR as well. And the beauty of that is that you can do the OCR on your computer screen when it's connected. And Peter, we were talking about it, it works quite well, doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Can you see, Michael, the image that's on the screen at the moment?
Yes, I can. So this simulates what it's like looking at your computer screen, and when you're zoomed in on an image, it's almost like it's a massive, big, slightly curved screen, and you can as you're turning your head, you can look around all the various aspects of the screen. Like you said, Peter, unfortunately, this video doesn't really do it justice what it can do, but it does give you the idea that you can look in the corners and look around. You're not just limited to that tunnel vision that you traditionally would get.
So here's a view of looking at the computer here. And the very great thing about this when we're using it with a computer input is that we can zoom in on the controls at the top. They will all be magnified as well. So this is different as it's zooming in now. This is different from the effect that some people do when they're on the computer, where they just use the scroll wheel to zoom in the content area. This is not that. This is zooming in everything, including the little icons at the top, the taskbar at the bottom, and so on. So this really.
Gray filter.
And now we've
Inverted
just changed
gray filter.
to the inverted black mode
Color
and
filter.
back to the color filter here. So some of the features that we have in programs like Zoom Text can be applied directly in the Vision Buddy without actually adjusting the computer itself. You don't need to run any special software on the computer. You can simply adjust those filters within the Vision Buddy itself by pressing a button on the right. Okay, so I'm just going to come out of that video.
I find using it on the computer, using some of the magnification software that's available, particularly if, as we magnify in, we lose half the image off the screens. Those concepts of moving your mouse to the edge to find it, for some people, is a little bit challenging. And the Vision Buddy is quite a natural thing to be able to just turn your head and look wherever you want. It's the experience, regardless of the age, it seems to be very positive. It's a great device.
While we're on that subject, Michael, I just wanted to, when talking about connecting to computers there, was that if you are a touch typist, you can stay in that computer link mode. You don't actually need to see yourself typing. But you were mentioning that you're not a touch typist, I'm not a touch typist. And so occasionally you might need to just tap the side to switch to your magnification mode, which is the camera at the front, and look down at your magnified keyboard.
Yes.
And then switch back to the computer mode. Just a simple switch of the same button to change mode back to the screen. And that works very, very well.
That's right. And thanks for letting everyone know I can't touch type. But yeah, it really did point it out for me that how simple it was just to be able to press that button. You can look down. Can you look around your desk? You know, you can look at the different things around your desk. You can grab your notes and easily look down and zoom in on it. And it's I think the big thing that I get out of the device is that it's simple to use. You know, it's not pushing 15 buttons and you've got to do a combination of this to be able to get it to work. It just works beautifully, and simple, and that's what we want.
Michael, there's some questions up on the screen. I'll read out for you. But the obvious one is, what's the cost? And the cost is 5,840. Yeah. The other question is, do we do in-home trials? So yeah. We generally do for equipment that we can reach where it's possible for us to get to people, of course.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's something that it's wherever we can, definitely we prefer to do it that way if we can.
We have a question about, will the remote control work from another room?
Like all remote controls, probably not, and it's dependent on the remote control. Most remote controls work off an infrared system, which means it's got to be line of sight. So if you're in another room, some of the older remotes work off FM and it's different, but that's going to be unique to the system itself. But yeah, particularly I think the Fire Stick is your traditional infrared, so you'd have to be in the same room to be able to do it. But bearing in mind too that once you set it up for your movie or your show, you're not using your remote control anymore. You're wirelessly, and for volumes, that's on the bottom of the device. You know, that's where we start using these buttons here to be able to turn the volume up and down for the sound to come out through the two speakers on the bottom of it, or through your headset when you plug it in. Yeah.
Also, what's the pixelation quality of Wi-Fi in another room without the HDMI cable?
Yeah, it's very, very good. The transmitter transmits in, what is it, 1080p, which is really sharp. It's very, very good. The cabling is where it does the 4K, and it's a little bit like our televisions that we receive. I think now our normal channel 9s and everything is transmitted now in normal HD, which is the same quality as the headset. So quite sharp. Yeah, it's good.
I've got a question. If the client is in an aged care facility, can they just use the set-top box as long as they have an aerial connection? Do you not? So you don't need a TV, actually, just need the hole in the wall?
That's right. Yeah. So all you would need to do from JB Hi-Fi, actually, I looked up what these sorts of things are. There's many different brands. This is a TAC one, but there's many different brands. Digital set-top boxes go for around $40, $50, something like that. They all have, the idea is that they basically convert from your wall to your aerial in the back here. And then there's a HDMI plug out that goes directly then to this, just via a HDMI cable. And then this sends it through the airways to your goggles.
Michael, when it's connected to the computer via the cable, what magnification level can you get?
So you can get up to 10 times magnification on it. At 10 times magnification, it's quite crisp and quite large. And then at that, of course, as we start to get in nice and close, we have to turn our heads to be able to see the edges and things like that. So very, very good. And I think because you're connected directly to your computer, the quality is exceptionally good as well.
So on that point, just talking about the computer, I was playing a YouTube clip on my computer using the cable into the headset, and I was curious to see whether there was any lag at all between what I was hearing from my computer, the music, and what was being presented in my vision. And I found no lag with that computer cable to my computer. So in other words, as the lead violin took their stroke, that precisely the sound came at that point as the conductor was conducting and so on. But I think it will depend on the speed of your computer, won't it? I think as to whether there might be a lag issue there.
It would. The experience would vary slightly. I know that I've got at home my personal computer. I've got two personal computers. My older one, I noticed that it was just slightly different, but that's me being picky. But it's still, from a perspective of sitting back and watching it, the experience was still very good. A lot of we've discussed a little bit about gaming, and this is great for your young people that want to have a low vision solution for gaming, and you know, sitting down and playing with their mates on the same sort of device, but having the same experience. And so what you can do is you can have a HDMI-Y cable, one to the television, one to the headset. You use the sound that comes out of the television, and you can have the same experience. You can still play against your mates in the same room. I don't know anything else that does that. So very, very clever.
Can the Vision Buddy be connected to a Foxtel box?
Yes. Yeah. Anything with a HDMI output. So your Foxtel box, your Telstra Roku, we might be familiar with that. Anything with a HDMI out, your Google Chromecast even, that's got a HDMI as well. So anything with a HDMI source.
And we have a question about the camera. Then we're talking about the camera in the front of the Vision Buddy there. Is there just one, or are there more cameras? And do they have a light source?
No, it doesn't have a light source. It's very similar to, I guess, the front of your mobile phone camera, your front camera on your mobile phone. Similar sort of an idea. So it's just a single camera.
Yeah. Now this is a good question, because I imagine there'll be situations where you might have two people trying to watch Friends or Breaking Bad or something like that. Can you have more than one headset connected to the TV box?
Yes, you can. The manufacturers tell us up to 4. You can get 4 connected, which is quite good. So yes, it is possible. On that note too, we had a little bit of a meeting and a discussion with them about upgrades and things like that, or any time there might be a new piece of software that might be available for it. And they said, yes, that's a possibility down the track, definitely. But obviously at this stage, unless something new comes out, it's not something that we have to check for updates on a regular basis. It's not like your computer or your mobile phone. But certainly that facility is something that if it's needed down the track, it's certainly capable of doing it, yes.
And talking about demonstrations and so on, I've got a question here. How would someone in South Australia be able to demo this?
Oh, we've got a consultant in South Australia, Megan, is down there. So regardless of where you are, even if you're in an area where we don't have consultants, contact Quantum and we have a solution. We always have a solution. We find the best way around it. So contact us and we'll get it done.
Megan is based in Adelaide, but she does cover South Australia. She's also responsible for the territory and for Western Australia as well. So only a small patch, but as you say, Michael, we'll find a way. We'll find a way.
Yeah, we specialise in finding the answers to the tough questions.
And we actually found that through the COVID period, which still persists, of course, that we were finding that we were able to do things quite inventively, where we could perhaps get equipment to an occupational therapist or somebody remote, or maybe to the family who weren't able to receive visitors for obvious reasons. And then with a video link, a Zoom or a FaceTime, we were able to help demonstrate product that way.
Yeah. And surprisingly, that was I think one of the big things we learned from COVID, wasn't it? Learned how easy it is to actually do that and utilize the boots on the ground, the skills on the ground to help us out, to help the person.
We have a question that, will we do demonstration at Vision Australia offices?
Vision Australia will actually have their own Vision Buddies as well. So they will be able to do that themselves as well. If you prefer for us to come to you, we're happy, of course, to do that as well.
Now, another question here about who's it suitable for, and the actual question was, is it suitable for people with advanced macular degeneration, in other words, very limited central vision? I don't know, it's a little early to tell precisely who it's best suited to. In the States, they've got, I think, about 1,200 units they've sold in the States. They're out there. So that's quite a large population of people with vision impairments of various sorts. So we imagine it would be suited particularly for people with low to mid macular degeneration. Advanced macular degeneration might be more problematic, but we would definitely test it and see whether it would suit them.
I would probably suggest, even with advanced, it's certainly, yeah, like you say, test it. And the reason why I say that is that the interesting thing that we've got to think about with MD is that with your central vision gone, it's not like it's a black spot right in the middle. There's sections in there that are still functional as well. And having the ability to have some sort of movement as opposed to a stationary item like a television, a stationary item, and you're just looking in one spot. We find with the magnification and being able to move your head around, you can move in and out of those blind spots. So even if you think you do have some advanced MD, it's still worth having a go of it, experiencing it and see if it is right for you. It may not, but it's worth the effort.
And let's try and take one more question here before we might just move on just to wrap up and maybe talk about the OCR feature as well. So the question was, if you're buying multiple goggles for a family, you know, is that done at a different price, and can you buy the goggles separately from the whole package? I think we haven't really got that worked out yet.
No, we haven't really gone that far yet, have we? Yeah. We'll take that question on notice.
Yeah. So I'm just going to move on to, you did mention that there was an OCR option for this, and I could maybe play a little bit of video just to demonstrate how it works. So the idea is to save on visual fatigue, to have things read out for you. So I'm just going to share my screen.
The OCR that's built into it, which is accessed by a long press on one of the buttons in a certain mode, it does identify the various...
OCR mode started. Position the camera towards the item to read and release the mode. Please pan your head to select a text block on the screen. Hamada also was an athlete of speed, swimming champion in the breaststroke, and he knew how to dance especially. Impressive to LTO, who knew well the role.
So what we're experiencing here is that green dot is identifying the bodies of
Hamada
text.
of Japan.
And would be touching the mode button to read the areas that
I never think about tomorrow, just today. Maybe I'm a gambler.
So it's a little bit unique in that you can actually identify the areas that you want to have read to you by directing your head. Your direction of your head is what controls it. So, which is again unique to the Vision Buddy.
And that applies also to a computer screen. So you can actually, if you've got the cable linked in, you can apply the OCR to what you're seeing on the computer screen by the same method, by directing the green spot to the bit you want to read and reading it.
That's right. Yeah. Very clever.
Well, we've got 5 minutes left. So is there anything else you wanted to cover in the last 5 minutes, Michael?
I think we've just about hit on everything that we need to. If there's any more questions that anyone can think of.
And just to wrap up, maybe who you think it's best suited to in one syllable?
All.
All. That's one. That's a good syllable.
Yes. All. Yeah. I can't see, unless of course your vision is a level where maybe light perception or blind, but even then you can still utilize the sound aspects of it, and that would avoid you having to have a television. But yeah, so yeah, all.
I like the way you put it, Michael, that, you know, your son enjoyed it, and, you know, I enjoyed, you know, watching a concert on it and so on. So it's a terrific device for everybody, not just for people with vision impairment.
That's right. I couldn't get it from him. You know, I wanted to test it, and then when he finally got, of course, like most kids, he gave it back and it was flat. So that's okay. I'll plug in the battery, but yeah, he had a good experience with it.
Okay, I'll just check to see if there are any further questions. Yes, we did mention the price is 5,840. Another question was about, is there a rental option? And currently, and this is true of all of our equipment, we don't have a direct rental option available. It's something that, you know, we often consider. We do have the open pay over time scheme. That's something that is available to people, but currently not a rental option. Right, so that's all the questions, I think. Thank you, Michael. I think that was, I know it seems like an awful lot of detail. I know it seems very technical, but this is a bit of a forum for that kind of thing, where we can actually really get into the guts of it, open it up, show you the buttons and so on, so people have an understanding of what's involved. But in terms of the way it's actually applied, the connections and the setting up and the testing, that's very much our job. We don't want people to be put off by the technicalities. We simply want them to enjoy the experience without too much of a learning curve.
I really do think, though, as far as even this, for me, the setting up isn't all that different to having your television set up at home, where you've got to plug in, like we used to plug in the old video players. It's a similar concept. And instead of plugging it into a television, you plug it into your set-top box and turn on the headset, and away you go.
Great. All right, so I'm just going to bring up the ways you can contact us. So just going to go back to my slide. Should have that there on the screen. Sorry, apologies, it's not full screen, but you can contact us on 1300 883 853. You can also email us at info@quantumrlv.com.au. And our website, which shows us all of our products and pricing and descriptions and so on, is www.quantumrlv.com.au. And with that, I think with a minute to spare, I think we will leave it there. We have recorded this, and we will post an option to see the recording and to all the registrants. Thanks very much, everybody who attended. I think it's been a very informative session, Michael. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Peter.
Okay, we'll end here.
Thanks. Bye now.
Bye.